So, hello and welcome. Super excited to be launching another teacher training. We have a 200-hour teacher training underway right now, and they are just finishing up their projects at this point in time, and they'll be doing their final yoga camp. They'll be doing their final yoga camp in September. So I've got one person who will share from that experience. You can wave, that's her, that's Tracy. But then I have other teachers who have graduated at various times. So they're available to answer any questions that you might have about the program and share from their experience with the program. And they're here, so that's a good sign, right? They came back. No. So anyway, I want to start by just sharing a little bit about myself and why I do this, and that will give you just a little bit of insight into the program. And then we'll go through kind of the details of the way the program is structured, answer any questions you might have at that point, and then I'm just going to kind of open it up for the teachers to just field questions that you may have. And then for them to share, whatever might be on their heart to share with you about the training program. Okay, does that sound like a good plan of action? Okay, cool. So I'm Dawn Hopkins, and I am a 500-hour EYTT. And what that means is that I'm a master level yoga instructor who can facilitate teacher trainings. I can provide continuing education. I can train master level instructors. And we do all of that. So I have been teaching since 2006. I started training in 2008 and then founded my own yoga school in 2011. So we've been doing this a while. We are in this region, we're on our 11th group of teachers training. So you guys will officially be the 12th. Pretty cool. We have 3 training divisions. So I lead the one here in the Southwest. We have one in Detroit, led by Trina Campbell. And then we have another one in Saskatoon. Well, she also operates out of Esterhazy in Saskatchewan, and that would be Shirley Berthelette who leads that. So the way that we have structured the program, currently the way it's operating is that we do online training for all of our groups to come together. And then we break off into our regions to do our yoga camps in person. So it works out really well because that way we have this larger community of, all of our Inspiritus yoga teachers and in training. And then, we break out into our regions for our yoga camps. So I'm going to go through and kind of tell you about the way the program's structured and what it all entails in terms of homework and time, so that you have a sense of that, because I think that's important for people to know what they're getting themselves into. And then we can share a little bit more from there. So stop me at any time if something's unclear, you have a question, or feel free to jot it down, and then when I pause at the end, you can ask your questions then. But if it's relevant in the moment, please don't hesitate. So one of the things that we really love about our program is that it is international. So, we have teachers now that are teaching outside of the country. We've actually trained some people who are in Scotland. We've trained an individual who's in Japan, Yuriko. And then our goal is to continue to, to expand that training as it becomes available, so that we can replicate what we're doing. And the reason that we are so passionate about this is this program changes lives. I mean, there's no denying it. It changed mine to go through a teacher training. I got bit by the bug knowing that I was really called to train teachers beyond just teaching, so that I could replicate myself. And the healing that takes place on a yoga mat, the spiritual connection, the community that forms, all of that stuff is just, it's priceless. And that's why I'm so excited about replicating and training, so that you guys can go out and not just experience that for yourselves, but then be able to provide that experience to other people. So we provide individual mentoring throughout training. So we have group mentoring times where we're together locally, regionally, and then we also, we'll break up periodically to do one-on-one as needed. That's one of the hallmarks of our program that I think is extremely different and unique. You don't see that in other teacher trainings. And so you're really getting specialized, individualized attention to make sure that you guys are getting everything you need from the program, that you're understanding everything, your questions are answered, so that you feel fully equipped when you go out to teach at the end of the program, if that's what you choose to do with the teacher training. To me, that's just something that will never change about this program. That's why we keep the program small, so that we can really invest in you guys. So in addition to that, we offer 2 different training tracks. We have an inspirational training track, and then we have a Christ-centered training track. So if you're interested in teaching in like a church environment, or you want to include biblical messaging, you could, go that route, or you can stick with inspirational, where we're looking more at universal sources of inspiration, and things that are, I guess, I don't know, inspirational, right? I'm like, that's probably why it's called that. So we do place equal emphasis in terms of yoga, understanding, the asana and all of the history and all of the components of yoga, because it goes far beyond the physical, making sure you learn all of that. In addition to that, helping you with your own spiritual practice, whatever that is, helping you really make those spiritual connections and change from the inside out as you open yourself up to those spiritual studies. In addition to that, we focus on leadership development, making sure that, again, you feel equipped to teach, that you receive the training that you need to do that, and that you grow as an individual and, future teacher and leader. So all of those things are a very important part of our training program. We are also a registered yoga school with the Yoga Alliance. And for some people that's important. I am registered with the Yoga Alliance, and our school obviously is as well. We provide continuing education for the Yoga Alliance for people who are registered. And if you want to know more about that, we can have, more conversation about whether or not it makes sense for you to register. So as I mentioned earlier, this program is ideal for people who want to teach yoga, but it's also a great program for people who just want to dive deeper into their yoga practice, dive deeper spiritually, to do your own inner healing work, your own, transformational work. It's phenomenal for that as well. And a lot of people do opt to take the program for that reason. In addition to that, we do offer add-ons. So for existing teachers who want to become Christ-centered yoga teachers or inspirational teachers, we have an add-on program available for teachers to do that. We also, for those people who've gone through teacher trainings that were not registered with the Yoga Alliance, we can add that component as well. So if somebody wants to become registered with the Yoga Alliance, we can help them do that. So those are just some of the people that we tend to draw to our training programs. So the tuition is $2,750 US and $3,375 Canadian, and it can be broken up in payments. So I know that people often ask, how is that structured? You can break it up in payments. If you pay lump sum and you attended this today, you get $200 off. If you opt to make payments, you will get $100 off just for attending today. So that's definitely a benefit to being here today. And then we include in those fees all of the training materials that you'll receive for your yoga camp. So you'll get several different training manuals. But then every week that we meet for training, you'll get an installment of the larger training manual. We don't do it all at one time. It's intentional. We want you to be present. We want you to digest the information slowly and integrate it as you go. So that's why we give it to you in pieces throughout the training program. But that's all a part of your training. And then all the yoga camps are included in that. And for those who are local here, you'll have classes, additional classes as part of your yoga camps that'll also be included in that. So yeah, so in addition to that, you will have some reading materials that you'll need to purchase on your own. So there is a book called The Heart of Yoga that you'll need to get. There's Anatomy of Yoga book that you'll need to purchase. And then if you're doing Christ-centered, you'll want to have a good study Bible if you don't already have one. We've also added to this teacher training the yamas and niyamas. So you'll be using that book as well. And I know that everyone who reads it loves it. And we're like, yeah, we just need to include this in our teacher training. So that will be also a part of your studies. And you'll fall in love with it, I guarantee it. So we're structured in modules. The first module will begin in October. So on October 2nd, we'll be meeting Wednesdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Arizona time. And so if people are remote, you just have to take into consideration whatever the time change may be. And by the way, Arizona does not practice daylight savings, which can be real tricky for people. So I'll be really cognizant to remind you when, times change. So you know, to be on there at the right time. But anyway, you can do it via the web, or you can join me at my home. I have a studio at my home, and I prefer that you come in person because I think the community that forms is really amazing when we can do it in person. But certainly we know that things come up, or there are people who are remote, maybe not here for a period of time or traveling or whatever, and you can do it via the web. We also do our mentoring, usually right after. So that's been working for our last 2 teacher trainings. And I think we're going to probably keep it to that model where we just stay an extra hour and we do our mentoring right there. So keeping that in mind, it'll be 5 to 8 p.m. Arizona time. If that for some reason is not accessible, we can work something out in terms of the mentoring. So during the first module, we cover yoga history, philosophy, and theory. We will be learning how to study sacred text, so the Bible and other sacred texts that are considered to be recognized, and I'll give you a method that you can use to study that will help you. In addition, we start into breath work, meditation, and prayer, so you'll learn all about that. There'll be homework during that module where you'll be attending 4 classes, so 1 a week, and then you'll write feedback about the classes that you attended, and then you'll also be doing your own spiritual study, and you'll do a journaling note every week. So that's the homework for module 1. Module 2 is a yoga camp, so we're in person. It will be here, most of it at Joyful, some of it will take place at my in-home studio. Just when we have conflicts with the schedule, which can happen, we will be at my house. So it's right around the corner from here. And we study basic yoga anatomy more from the application standpoint. I am all about applying things. So the things that you will learn are very, very applicable. And so it's not like you have to sit there and study muscles, bones, joint actions, things like that. You'll learn it as you're learning the asana. Then we will learn gentle level 1 asana, and that is all self-contained. So what ends up happening in these yoga camps is I will train the yoga poses, then you will get together with a partner and you start practicing teaching those poses to each other. So you get a feel for not just, how the pose should be constructed and done safely, but you'll already begin to put words to how to teach it. So you start that right off the bat. And it sounds really scary and intimidating, but it is so much fun. I promise you, it is a blast. In addition to that, you will have, you won't have any homework other than that for module 2. So that's November 13th through 17th here in Phoenix. If you're in Detroit, it's the same dates. It looks like we have the same dates for all the regions. So whether you're in Saskatoon or Detroit, the dates are the same. And then for module 3, we're back in the same format, Wednesday evenings, 5 to 7/5 to 8 if you're local and mentoring with us. That's going to be in December through January 8th. We do have time off around the holidays. So you'll notice on the schedule that we are not meeting Christmas Day or New Year's Day because it happens to fall on Wednesday this year. So we have time for that allocated. And that's actually really good time, not just for you, obviously, to enjoy your family in the holidays, to catch your breath a little bit in the midst of training. Sometimes having those breaks can be really beneficial. So you'll be learning class design and messaging, and learning how to sequence gentle level 1, level 1 flow, level 1-2, more intermediate practice, all the way to level 1-2 flow. You'll also learn how to put together playlists, so putting music into a class if that's something that really excites you, like it does me. I love it. And putting it all together in the format of how do I teach a class and put all these pieces together. It seems like it seems like, oh, a teacher just shows up and they teach, but behind the scenes there's a lot going on in terms of planning our classes. So you get all that time to learn how to plan classes effectively. And that, again, is something that I have not experienced in other teacher training programs. So I think you'll enjoy it. For this particular module, you have, the notes are wrong. So if you've printed off the handout, just be advised. It's 3 journaling notes. So where you're doing your spiritual study and completing journaling, 3 feedback forms, attending classes and then providing feedback on those classes. And then you'll put together your own class. So you will develop the sequence of asana, you will put together a playlist if you want to, but you definitely will need to put the messaging together too. And then you present that to me. And we work together one-on-one. It's so much fun. She has hers Monday, tomorrow. It is a blast. So it's a non-threatening way to start to put it all together before you have to do it in front of a class, right? So, and I give you lots of feedback, and we make tweaks to it if we need to, and then you will adjust that class, and that will be the one that you teach your class at the end of your training, which is coming up for Tracy in September. So yay. Okay, so then in module 4, still Wednesday evenings, this time in January, so starting January 15th through February 5th. And during this module, we're going to talk about business tools and marketing, some of the legal aspects of yoga, ethics, roles and responsibilities as a teacher, servant leadership, and self-care. So during that module, you do 2 feedback forms. So you'll attend 2 classes, do 2 feedback forms, do 2 journaling notes, and then you start working on your project. And so the projects are really fun too. You can either do a business plan or a ministry plan if you want to do a yoga ministry, or you can put together a series of classes or a workshop series for a special population that really resonates for you. So we've had like Marty did one for corporate yoga. Karen did one for working with people with Parkinson's. We've had people who really have a passion for women's health, complete things for, a sequence for women dealing with women's health issues. We've had senior populations, at-risk kids, right? Yeah. Kind of at-risk kids, but teenagers. Marty, you can share a little bit more about yours later.
Even people who are going through treatment for drug addiction or mental health issues, and how yoga is clearly one of the most wonderful things for helping to come out of all of that stuff. So kind of geared toward that. So maybe even a little older than teenage, more,
young adults, yeah, or.
But it's kind of a lot of fun because the messages they have to be a little bit funny sometimes. They have to be, you know, a little lighter, and the class, there's a lot of tweaking to do for, I guess, any population, but in this case, it's just kind of fun to do it. I had a great time writing it.
It's so much fun. And what's cool about it is your project is meant to be something that you can take and use right away. So we want you to go find a place where you could actually implement, it, you know, where you could put on a workshop series or a class series. That's the goal, that, you know, you have something ready to go. Same thing with the business plan for people who are really like, you know, I want to think through how I can develop a yoga business, or how can I incorporate my yoga teaching into something I'm already doing, or how can I launch a yoga ministry at my church, for example. And you get all the tools and resources you need to do that, and you know, our assistance with it as well. So then module 5 is your teacher practicum yoga camp. That one is in March, so it'll be March 4th through 8th here. And it looks like we have the same dates for the other training centers as well, depending on their region. You'll also be going through more applied anatomy, so we go deeper with that. We do level 1, 2, or intermediate yoga postures. We do yoga flow, so vinyasa. We also will do touch and assist, so learning how to safely assist people in a yoga class using words or using touch. And so you'll learn a lot that way. And then everybody will present their practice teaches, and then you graduate. And that's where Tracy is almost at, so yay. So in terms of the requirements, as I mentioned before, you know, making sure you complete all your homework. Ideally, you'll, you know, stay on top of that every week so you don't have things piling on. But we do intentionally have the month of February off so that you have time to, you know, finish your practice teach, finish off any homework you have, to complete your projects so that we can hand you a certificate in March. And so these guys have the month of August off. They all come back in September, and hopefully they'll have everything caught up and I can give them a certificate and graduate them. So what else did I want to say? I talked about the different reading materials, and I will give you guys a reading plan, just a suggested reading plan in terms of how you can break up your reading during the course of your training, to break it down a little so it's not all at once. And then I gave you additional resources too. So if you've, you know, printed off the handout, or if you, you know, go to the website and do that later, you'll see there's additional resources, and we'll pile them on. Like if you are an avid reader and you fall in love with stuff, we're like, yep, here's another book you can read. Here's another tool you can get, you know. And so as training progresses, we give you lots and lots of resources and tools that you can use in your teaching or for your own personal development. Okay, so any questions about anything about the program? Honestly, take this time, like if there's anything that concerns you or any hesitation you might have, or you just want, you know, to hear from the people who've done the teacher training or are in it, we would love for, you know, to answer your questions. So a common question that comes up, since you guys are thinking, I'll let you guys continue to think, but a common one that comes up is, how do I do this if I work? Right? If I'm working during the day, have a job, or, you know, other responsibilities, like how do I fit it into my life? So we've had several people who are here that can maybe share a little bit about that. Do you guys mind if I turn the camera on to you so you can share a little bit? Okay. So I'll let Marty share a little, and then Karen can share. There's Marty. Hello.
Hi, everybody. So what was really nice was I work a typical 8 to 5 kind of hour job usually. So I was done about 5 o'clock or a little before 5, and that's what time the webinars begin typically. So that worked fine for beginning evening time. And then when we did our camps, what I would do is take time off work and take vacation time. And what's really nice actually is the camps are typically Wednesday through the weekend. So you're really only needing to take maybe 2.5 days off work if you work Monday to Friday, something like that. And so, you know, it was very doable. I think the other thing that made it really doable was it was spread out over a period of 6 months. So it would have been very difficult to do a program that was 2 or 3 months immersion type of program where we're just trying to do that, work full time and everything like that. So it actually worked out very nicely for me. And, you know, a lot of like Dawn mentioned, my final project was about corporate training. So I included that into my project, which was interesting as well. So, you know, it just, for me, it was just a matter of keeping up on the homework, making sure, you know, and the breaks did help here and there, like Dawn was mentioning, you know, there will be some breaks sometimes, and that kind of helped me catch up if I got a little bit behind, but I was okay with it. I mean, it kept me on a plan. I think for me, it's really nice to have a goal and to know that I need to complete this by this time. And when I know those things and I do them, I'm on track. It's when I'm kind of left to my own devices and I don't have my own deadlines that I kind of just don't do things. When I know things do, I pretty much keep on it. So it was fine.
Yeah.
It worked out. It really did. So
yeah.
And you taught a great class that I went to.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you so
it
much.
was so wonderful.
Yeah.
And Marty, one thing you didn't mention is that it's even more pliable than you said, because we had lots of times, maybe even you, a person who was on the phone for like the first 15, 20 minutes of the class, and then you join the class at the, you know, whatever time you're there. So really, as whatever it takes to, you know, be a part of the class, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Karen, did you have any more that you wanted to add about juggling work with?
Well, just like, yeah, it was definitely doable. Like Marty said, at the time I was working 3 jobs. So I was here, there, everywhere, but it helped me to focus too, because I probably wouldn't have done as much yoga had I not been, I'm not going to say it in a bad way, required for the classes. Plus it just made it more interesting. And because I incorporated it into my work also, I would think about it while I was at work and then try to apply it there and then try to jot notes on my phone to remember to put that in homework or whatever I needed for the day. So yeah, definitely doable. You know, being evenings and, you know, it's been weekend time doing it also. And because it was spread out, that was the biggest reason why I chose that too. Plus this was my home yoga studio, so that was another bonus.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Tina, Christy, did you guys have any, do you have any questions that we can specifically answer? Otherwise I can just let the teachers kind of share what they, you know, want to share with you guys about the program.
That was what you just asked. That was probably, granted I'm not working full time, but my situation is a little unique. Really just how much time spent outside of the actual classes, you know, the Wednesday classes, how much, you know, could you average like hours per week that you put in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say, sorry, you guys can't see me at this moment, so I'll turn back around so you can, so you're not looking at nothing, talking. Oh, there we go. So everything works out to about 40 hours per module. Okay, so roughly. There'll be a little bit more like in module 3 because you're working on your practice teach. There's a little bit more in module, you know, 4 or after module 4 when you're working on your project. So, you know, obviously there's a little more time investment there. But in general, about 40 hours a month, 35 to 40. That includes everything. So that's including, you know, the time that we're training, you know, the time that we're mentoring, for you to be attending classes and doing your homework, your reading, you know, so all of that. So it ends up on average, maybe 7, 8 hours a week, on average.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's helpful.
Yeah. So, you know, and more obviously for people who really dive in, you know, to their studies. For some people, you know, they choose to invest more time. But in terms of what is feasible and realistic, you know, when you agree about.
Yeah. I mean, this is my retirement. So I'm on a different deal than a lot of people are. And so I go to a lot of yoga classes.
Yeah.
And what I found, and this probably doesn't have anything to do with this, but what I found, how much more I got out of my yoga classes, because I go to like 7 to 9 classes a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and I love it, and it is my life. But then after going through this program, it exploded, and it's so wonderful. And so, yeah, I mean, you're going to go and you're going to fall in love with it, and it's not going to seem like work. I mean, the reading is fabulous,
Mm-hmm.
and the things you find out about yourself and your life, and it's just so beautiful that, I mean, I don't even know if I'm going to teach, but what I've learned, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I can't tell you. So yeah, I think, you know, I'm sure it's harder if you have an 8 to 5 job, you know. You fall in love with it and you, right?
Well, if it's your passion, then it doesn't seem like it's extra work on the side. Because
Right.
It's what you want to do.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think that's the key.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're here because we just want to eat it all up. But I did,
Oops, sorry, this thing is, there we go. Go ahead. You were saying.
well, I wrote something down I'd like to say.
Okay.
May I?
Yes, please.
About this journey that we took with Dawn, which was love and light. And I can't say that enough, and I know you other chicks know that too, that every time you see her and she hugs you and your self-confidence might be waning or whatever's going on, you are lifted up. And I just want to read what I wrote, that through it all, she always reminded us that we are more than we see in ourselves. And that is so huge, because you are like, oh my gosh. And she's like, really? I mean, it was so beautiful. The obstacles placed in, okay, when self-doubt and life's pressures made us waver, and lots of girls in class had kids and jobs and this and that, it got talked through and you got lifted up, and it was so beautiful that it was just wonderful. And she saw our potential, and in each one of us, it was different, but she knew how to find it in us, and then we were lifted. It was just so wonderful. And the friendships and the fellowship every week of going to class and sitting in her studio at her house and making new girlfriends and spending that time, it's just a life-changing event that if it's something that you can do, it is amazing. It is so amazing. And I don't know, in joy and faith and love, our leader, it's wonderful. And I would say to anybody, please, no matter what you choose to do with it, it's something that you should add to your life. The end.
Thank you, Tracy. You made me cry over here.
Love you so much. Yes.
And I'm gonna play off of that also, because there was 5 of us that went through it, anywhere from, let's see, like 25 up to 50 years old. So we had quite a span of age of people in there. And in those moments each week, especially in the mentoring, we found how we were all going through the same thing kind of at the same time. Like our journals would almost be the same theme each time. And it was neat to be able to inspire and encourage others too, you know, younger, older, and everything in between also. So I didn't go through, I'm just going to give my little, so I didn't go through it. So when I first started this time last year, I didn't intend to teach. I just wanted to kind of see what it was about. Plus I'm what do you call me? A continuing ed junkie or something like that.
Yeah, you are. Certificate junkie. She's a certificate junkie.
So I like to try all new sorts of things and go through the classes. So that was the biggest reason why I started. And then, like I said, as I work as a physical therapist assistant at the time, mostly with older adults, and Parkinson's is kind of my passion. And then as I went through, I was like, oh, maybe I should teach. And then I taught my first community class. I was like, no, I don't think I want to do that. And now I'm going to be incorporating it with children. I can just tell you that. Start that this next week, especially children with autism doing physical therapy and children with developmental disabilities. So it's such a huge part of it. Yeah. And I've learned not only just through work, but through this, how it's life. You apply it to life and you're able to go through it. In the middle of it was right in the middle of ours last year, I had a health crisis also. And had it not been for this, I don't know that I would have known how to dig myself out of that too and keep going, because I did more yoga then. And after I was diagnosed with severe adrenal fatigue, my naturopath said, all you can do right now is yoga. That's all I want you doing. So I was like, okay, I'm good with that. So I got to spend more time with doing yoga. So it was nice to not only apply it to my life, but then to others also as I go through and do physical therapy. Plus, I also teach at Carrington College in the physical therapy tech program. And not only talking about it there, but they've also included some of the exercises for the students or yoga poses. I'm like, no, that's not right. This is how you do it. And so I'm able to teach them how to do it also, so that they're not out there injuring others by not doing it properly. So.
What did you like the most about the training program?
For one, being spread out, so it gave me time to indulge it and digest it and get done what I need to do. But then I also like what Marty was saying too, of having those deadlines, because I'm also like, oh, I've got 10 years to do it. Okay, I'm going to wait till 9 years and 30 months to do it. So that's what I really liked about it. Plus, like I said, learning that we're just like everybody else out there. We all go through the same things, and it's nice to be able to know that you're not alone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Little family.
Yes.
Marty, do you want to share a little bit about your experience and what you liked most about the program and what you feel you got out of it? Or?
Well, I think when I first started thinking about teaching, one of the things was, I'm taking all these yoga classes, I might as well put it to use. And I think, although that is something, I think that you're going to recoup the money you spend before you even teach anything, because it's just like, it's so enlightening in terms of the background of yoga. I learned little things like being present in class instead of just going through the motions, because we had to listen and write down, things about the class. And it's a lot of fun to learn some of the history. I mean, I never really knew it. Pronunciation, like all that stuff was a lot of fun. And certainly, the camaraderie we had and continue to have. It's just, I would tell anyone to do it for those reasons, and not even to think about necessarily. Perhaps it shouldn't even be called teacher training. It should be called, life training or something. I don't know, with a perk, but I'm still learning, and it's a big world out there of things that. And finding inspirational messages and things like that, it's great fun. I mean, and you talk about spending more than your supposed allotted time for homework. You can go way down, down the rabbit hole or whatever, finding things. And it's so interesting, it really is. So that's part of what, not just emotional growth, but also just a wider basic knowledge and the use of it was. And again, something I wouldn't have done on my own, just because I was having somebody push me. So, because I could have said it at any time. Yeah. So yeah, that was all.
Awesome, thank you, Marty. And then I'm just going to let you talk to the other Marty who's here. Let her share a little bit more. You just shared, primarily about work and balancing that. But
yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share?
Well, when I first went into it, I had absolutely no intention to teach, and she's cracking up over here. And I changed my mind. No, it's funny because my first inclination was I want to learn it because I want to know more to take classes, and it did do that. I mean, because I think when you're in a yoga class, and you all do yoga, I'm sure, as a student, you don't always know why you're doing the pose or the benefits of the pose or even sometimes the proper alignment of the pose, even though you may have an excellent instructor. But it helps you really dig deep and understand it. I remember my favorite part was the yoga camps because of our tribe that we created, and Marty being one of them. And I think a lot of that just had to do with going through the same experiences. But one of the things that I remember distinctly in the first yoga camp was doing the class and thinking, I really understand what I'm doing now. Like, really understand what I'm doing now. And it was great from not only a mental level, but spiritually as well. And just kind of, you had mentioned that, Marty, earlier about going through the motions and kind of not really thinking about what you're doing sometimes, maybe when you go in a classroom. Now it's deeper, you know, it's much deeper. And so, yes, I love to teach now. I really do, and we've been given some great opportunities here to do some community classes together and things like that. So that's really helped a lot. Just, I think the thing is, you just have to do it. I think there's not, yes, you prepare, yes, you're certified, yes, you learn, but until you do and actually do several classes, if that's what you want to do, I think that's when it starts, you know, it's just like anything else. You have to do it a few times. So been very, very warm, receiving. The people here, very, you know, helpful from a new teacher perspective. Dawn is amazing. Dawn's the reason why I did this in the first place. I think anything that Dawn's involved with has got to be good, right? So I knew it would be, and it was, and she gave me a lot of personal attention throughout the training, as well as the other mentors, and that made a huge difference, because if I had a question about the homework, there was someone there to help me answer. And just diving deeper, and the spiritual side of things and mental side of things. And so, yeah, I'm with you too. Do it. Life training, I agree with that.
Absolutely.
I do. I agree with life training. It's bigger than yoga. It's a lot bigger than yoga. It could, I say it could be called anything, not necessarily, but I mean, it could sort of be any type of activity, but it's not just the physical part, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't know.
I'm sorry, what, Christy?
Were you all nervous before starting? I mean, just even, were you nervous to say, yeah, okay, I'm going to do this?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. I was like, if they don't say it, I'm going to tell them. Yes, you were. I remember having conversations with you.
The look on your face.
Yeah. And you know what? We work through all of that. You know, we work through the, I'm just going to come back to me. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy. We work through all of that. You know, I remember a point during your training, Karen, where fear kept showing up in everybody's journaling. Everybody's. And so, do you remember that? And I'd be like, okay, guess what we're talking about this week for mentoring? Because it's just a reality, you know. There's a great book called The Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, and she talks about fear. The whole book is about, you know, being courageous, overcoming fear. But the one thing she said is that we can't have courage without fear. Like, we have to, fear is a driver. Fear is something that helps us to become better and grow and challenge ourselves. But we just, you know, like, we just have to accept the fact that it's along for the ride. Like, no matter what journey we're on, it's going to, you know, rear its head from time to time. And what I love about what she says in her book is she said, yeah, you know, fear is going to be along for the ride. You just don't want to let it, you know, take over the wheel or start messing with the controls of your car. You know what I mean? Like, so just, it's going to ride shotgun, but don't let it touch any of the controls. So that's what we work on, you know, like saying, okay, yeah, it's along for the ride. And then how can we use this in our own growth and to further our own development, because it will be there. It will show up. And then it's like whack-a-mole. We'll just knock it down, and it might show up again a little bit later somewhere else. And, you know, and we just work through it together. And the thing is that it is universal. It is something that we all can relate to. It's something that we all face from time to time. And when we do it in community with one another, there's just power. There's power in numbers. There's power, there's strength in that. And knowing you're not alone, like Karen said, you know, and Marty, you know, it's huge to know, like, okay, I'm not alone in this journey. And the common themes that will show up in our teacher training, it's powerful. It's just powerful. Thanks for asking that. Tina, did you have any questions? And by the way, I didn't know you were going to be joining us today. I'm so excited that you decided to join us.
Well, I saw your posting and I thought, I've been kind of soul searching a little bit, always looking for ways that I can help others. And it just seems that yoga would be a great platform. So I thought I would get some information and find out. Because one of the things that I am afraid of is time, because I don't even find time to just do anything for myself. So I'm not really, so I just needed to, you know, find out, like, how is it structured? Because I know you have ongoing classes, and, you know, but if it's not this one, at least I have an idea of, you know, what time needs to be put into it. So yeah, so I've gotten at least that part.
Yeah. And, you know, like we've all shared, it's a lot more doable than it seems. Like, you look at the big picture and it seems scary and overwhelming. But, you know, we just show up every week, just show up every week. And, you know, we're doing our own work. The one thing I love about it is that it's keeping you on your yoga mat, which is going to help you in every area of your life, you know, not just your health and wellness, but your mental health and wellness, your relationships, everything will be impacted by you being on your yoga mat every week. And then, you know, the spiritual study, like, you know, diving into something that you really connect to spiritually. And if it's, you know, the Bible, awesome. If it's, you know, the Yoga Sutras or some other sacred text that really lights you up, you'll be amazed at how it will transform you from the inside when we start to just open ourselves up to spiritual things, you know. And again, it has that ripple effect on everything. So it will help you navigate life's challenges. It will help you in your job. It will help you in your relationships. It will help you be able to be grounded, be centered, less reactive, you know, less emotional, more, you know, more of who you really are inside comes out. And like you were saying, you know, I'm holding space for that because I know there's so much more than what we see in ourselves. And we just need a little help sometimes bringing that forward. So
gentle nudge. Yeah,
a little nudge. Sometimes I drag a little, but it's okay. Gently, lovingly, you know. But anyway, yeah. So if there's, you know, anything else that you guys have questions about, please, you know, take this opportunity, because if you have the question, probably someone else does and needs to hear it. But then again, I'm always available for one-on-one, you know, coffee time, coffee talk, and we can, you know, talk about your individual circumstances if needed. Yeah, go ahead. No, do you mind if I? Good job. So they can hear you and see you? Okay.
Is this written down somewhere, like
Yeah.
a syllabus with the dates?
Uh-huh.
Because I didn't see it on the Joyful Yoga.
It's not on their site, it's on my site.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I need to know where I'm supposed to look.
Yeah, I'll get it for you.
That was a lot of information and I didn't quite get all the dates.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. I'll get you, there's an information packet that has everything I covered today in it. Okay. And then I can send you a link to the application and all of that. So, yeah.
Okay, and when you say you take certain yoga classes and reflect on them, are they here or are they all over?
There are lots of different places. Yeah.
And
so there's specific teachers. There's specific teachers that are part of my teacher training program. So you'll get a list of teachers and classes where you can go. They offer a discount at Joyful for our teachers in training, and there are specific teachers that are approved by me that you can go to their classes. But then there's also classes available at Intervision Yoga, Mountain Park. There will be at Cornerstone Church because I'm launching a yoga ministry there in September. We'll have free classes there 2 days a week. So you have a lot of options of, teachers that you can go to. Some are free, and some, if you want to be in a studio environment, there's a discount offered here too.
And it's to go to a specific teacher?
There's a variety of teachers that you can take care of.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's myself, Carolina, well, of course, Charlotte and Anita, and then, well, Sarah's not here anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, but Sarah's over,
Sundays?
yeah, Carmi, you can also take classes from her.
Sarah's not doing the Sunday class?
She's not teaching here anymore now. She had her last Sunday class, I think, last weekend. Yeah, she's over at Intervision now too, but yeah, so and she is one of my instructors.
Because one of the things I've been struggling with here in this studio is so many classes and instructors like the sound, and I look for the quiet classes and quiet instructors.
Yeah.
So when you go out to the other studios, is there a way to avoid the sound?
It would say sound healing, if it was going to have. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Sometimes here you come to a class and there's a sub and they bring in whatever they're into, and if it's aromatherapy or or whatever, that's okay. But sometimes when they bring in the sound, I have ringing ears, it makes it worse. So when you have to go to these classes, will we know whether?
I don't think they do. Any of the teachers that I'm going to refer you to, none of the other ones other than Joyful do sound healing.
Okay.
And they don't do it at Mount Park, and I won't be doing it at Cornerstone or here. So yeah, so you won't.
For me, that is the opposite of relaxing.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's not for everybody for sure.
Intervision doesn't do that either.
No, they don't do sound healing.
No, their classes don't have that.
Yeah.
Very few outside of it do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to turn back here. Okay. All right. Well, I want to honor your time on a Sunday. Thank you guys for coming out and spending time with me. And let me know again if you have any, special situations, circumstances, whatever I need to know about, or if you want to meet one-on-one to just have a conversation, get to know each other a little better. I would love that. And I'll make sure that I follow up with everybody. Afterward, you'll get a link to this recording, but then I'll also include links to the information packet as well as the application and all of that. Okay, and I've got your names all written down, so you will be entitled to the discount as well. All right. Okay. So enjoy your week. Have an awesome week, and hopefully we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you.
Thanks. God bless.